Earth, the planet we spin around on our entire human experience. Something a lot of people don't know about Earth. It's really big. It'd be a shame to only see it from one perspective. My latest journey took me to see my neighbor to the south, South America. And 3 months in the country of Colombia. So I've noticed this narrative that surrounds Colombia, all revolving around one thing. Well, one man, that is. Medellin, Colombia. Once considered the most dangerous city in the entire world, and home to the man that took one of the most iconic mugshots in history, Pablo Escobar. There was the cocaine. Who am I kidding? It was a lot of cocaine. And then there was the whole more money than anyone had ever even heard of before, which came at a very destructive price for the people of Colombia. It even caught the attention of this actor guy. And before you knew it, everyone was running around just saying no, trying to wage a war on a drug? Which in reality, all it did was overpopulate the United States prison system, and mainly with the black and brown citizens. But back to Colombia, they eventually killed Pablo in 1993, leaving the people of Colombia to pick up the pieces. And this is what gets remembered. And why is that? That a man that brought so much harm onto his own people can be the only thing that most of the outside world remembers about a country 3 decades after his death? Well, the numerous books written about him probably help. But if you're like me and not a big fan of words on paper and trying to read them for long periods of time, then maybe one of these 4 Hollywood movies, either featuring or completely about him, are the things that are helping keep his memory alive. Wait, really, Penelope? 2 Escobar movies? He's also had his own ESPN 30 for 30 documentary special, along with numerous other documentaries. And if that wasn't enough, how about his own full-on 10-episode series on Netflix? That covers about all the media platforms. But enough about some dead guy. He can't be the only reason that this narrative still floats around Colombia. So I did a search on YouTube of Colombia. And here's what 15 of the first 25 titles to the videos look like. Man, it sure does make it look like a terrible place. And of course, the token party video. So just to have something to compare it to, I also typed in the United States for a search. So now I see anytime I make the mistake of being in a room where the news is on, that there's plenty of violence and crime that goes on around here. So you think it would be a content creator's dream. But the titles to the videos in the United States search were much different than the Colombian one. So I decided to look up the crime rates and statistics for both countries. Now, I know how fun it is to try to read a bunch of numbers off a screen in 30 seconds, so you're welcome for the chicken. So, if I'm reading these numbers and words correctly, it almost appears the United States is basically even or even higher when it comes to almost every category in crime and violent crime. And if that's the case, then why this narrative about Colombia? Ah, good old clickbait. I get it now. You gotta please that algorithm. That way people like you. And then you get a chance to get some of that sweet, sweet YouTube monies. Because when you click on most of the videos with titles like the ones I listed, the content has absolutely nothing to do with what the title says. Imagine that. So what does present day Medellin actually look like? Well, let's go ahead and do this relook using some more numbers. I promise the chicken was a one-time thing. So in 1991, the murder rate in Medellin was 381 per 100,000 residents, in a population a little over 2 million people. That's what earned it the most dangerous city in the world title, and deservingly so. Even after Escobar's death, and the cartels had disbanded, officials believed that increasing the size and activity of the police force would break up any remaining gangs, which would lower the crime rate. However, murder rates soared. In year one of an Escobar-free Medellin, the murder rate was still 3 times higher than that of the rest of the country. Fast forward to 2015, the murder rate was 20 per 100,000 residents, lowest in Medellin's history. I guess aiding people instead of policing them has an upside. They implemented social infrastructure programs, which then in turn created jobs. Today, Medellin's a city on the rise, with one of the fastest growing economies in South America. On a side note, Colombia's crime rate as a whole has decreased on average 5% per year since 2018. With all that being said, Colombia is not a peaceful utopia. In fact, one of the longest civil wars in history just recently ended. For 50 years, Colombia was at war with itself, long before the drug cartels or Pablo Escobar was even a thing. There's no way to know the exact numbers, but with the data that is available, 220,000 Colombians lost their lives. 4 out of 5 of them being non-combatant civilians, and leaving millions of Colombians displaced. There were 3 failed attempts, and then finally in 2016, a peace deal was finally reached, although one side is still waiting on the other to hold up their end of the agreement. So I just wanted to mention, there are a lot of videos on here made by creators that know much more about this next subject than myself. But you can't mention the civil conflict in Colombia without mentioning the politics. Seeing how just recently, as recent as a year and a half ago, police opened fire on unarmed protesters. Not to mention the hundreds of social activists that have gone missing over the years. I'm just going to leave it as Colombia's political system has some definite issues. Okay, I just want to give a warning. I might get a little cheesy right here, but it's got to happen. So, one thing the Colombian people have shown, no matter how dark the skies get, and the skies have definitely gotten very dark over Colombia at times, but never so dark they couldn't find each other. And hey, it can't rain all the time. Crow reference. So I'm going to end this not with warnings about how wearing your cubic zirconium will get you killed somewhere in Colombia. Instead, just a couple things to be aware of that are unavoidable. Plan on your conversations going something like this if you're hoping that Colombians speak English. Because 9 out of 10 people you run into, easily, don't speak a word of English. But we are the guests, and should always keep that in mind. And then there's the one thing I truly feared the 3 months I was in Colombia. The traffic. It's not normal traffic, and it's unlike anything you've ever seen in the United States. So mentally prepare for it before you even get off the plane. And I mean mentally prepared just to be a passenger. If you're thinking about driving, I don't have anything I can really say to you because I can't talk to crazy people like you. But it's the people I met in Colombia that made the lasting impression. So just as a quick add-on, I just wanted to say I'm not trying to discredit all the videos that are posted about something shitty happening in Colombia to somebody. There are absolutely areas there that are dangerous. But the same can be said about just about every major city in the United States as well. People are raped, kidnapped, beaten, killed on a regular basis in the United States. I don't know. Maybe it's just that Colombia seems like a different world when you're in it, because it's so different than what you're used to here. Maybe the narrative I've mentioned is being taken as fact by people who have no idea what Colombia is like, and then spread it around to other people as if they do. Or maybe we're just so used to the shit that goes on around us here that we don't even notice unless something happens to us. And you're welcome for the camels.